Urgent Dallas Cowboys FANS. Do not miss this. What just happened? You won't believe this one. But before we reveal the big news, make sure to subscribe to the channel because here we bring you daily videos with the latest Dallas Cowboys updates. And to not miss anything, activate the notifications. All right, Cowboys Nation, today I've got some eye-opening news, some insights that might shake the very foundation of how we see our beloved team heading into this season. And trust me, it's not just about the hype, the off-season buzz, or the shiny new players. No, we're diving deep into the reality behind the optimism, the challenges, and what the future could really hold for the Dallas Cowboys in 2025. Because let's face it, sometimes the story isn't just about the wins and losses, but about the bigger picture, about the expectations versus reality, and about the fine line that separates a successful season from a disappointing one. Now, first things first, I want to remind all of you, especially those who have been riding this Cowboys roller coaster for years, that it's easy to get caught up in the excitement of the offseason. The positivity, the aggressive moves in free agency, the draft picks, and the new coaching staff led by Brian Schottenheimer, everything seems to point toward a team that's ready to contend for the Super Bowl. But here's the reality check. The 2025 Dallas Cowboys, as much as we want to believe in the hype, aren't coming into this season as a powerhouse. In fact, the last season, 2024, was pretty rough, and the numbers tell a story that's hard to ignore. The Cowboys only managed to win 7 games last year. Yes, just 7. And that's a sobering statistic, especially considering the expectations that come with a team that has such a storied history, a franchise that's built on winning and playoff success. But here's the kicker. This isn't the first time we've seen a Cowboys team struggle. In fact, the previous season was also a 7-win campaign. It's a pattern that's been hard to shake off, and it raises some serious questions about where this team is really headed. Because let's be honest, winning 7 games in back-to-back seasons is exactly the hallmark of a team ready to take that next step to the Super Bowl. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but the offseason is different. We've got new coaching, new energy, new players. And you're right. Coach Brian Schottenheimer has been vocal about his Super Bowl aspirations. And to be fair, the team has made some smart moves in free agency, trying to bolster the defense and address some of the offensive line issues that plagued them last year. But here's the thing, being so public about those ambitions can be a double-edged sword. When you set the bar so high, the pressure to deliver becomes enormous. And if things don't go as planned, well, the fallout can be swift and severe. Speaking of the coaching staff, there's some interesting context to consider. Jerry Jones, the legendary owner of the Cowboys, has always been known for giving his coaches a fair shot. In his 45 years as owner, he's only once decided not to extend a coach's tenure beyond 3 seasons, and that was Chan Gailey back in 1989, something Jones himself has called one of his biggest regrets. So theoretically, Schottenheimer has time on his side. But the NFL doesn't always work on theory, especially when it comes to results. The betting odds, according to BetOnline Sports and Casino, put Schottenheimer at 10-1 to be the first coach fired in the upcoming season. That's a startling statistic, considering that the Cowboys are often seen as a stable franchise. Now, I want to clarify something. These odds are from an offshore sports book, and while they give us some perspective, they aren't the gospel. Still, it's an indicator of how quickly expectations can turn sour if results aren't what fans and analysts are hoping for. And interestingly, Schottenheimer's name is right there alongside some tough competitors, including Aaron Glenn of the Jets, Todd Bowles of the Bucks, Zach Taylor of the Bengals, and Shane Steichen of the Colts. Why is Schottenheimer so high on that list? That's where the concern deepens. You see, there's a lot riding on this season. Expectations are sky-high because of the off-season hype, the new coaching staff, and the belief that the team can finally shake off the recent struggles. But the reality is that the Cowboys face some significant hurdles. First, the health of Dak Prescott. Prescott, as many of you know, has struggled with injuries throughout his career. Since 2019, he's never played 2 fully healthy seasons in a row, and if history repeats itself, losing him for an extended period could be disastrous. The offense, which is often the team's strength, could be compromised at its core if Prescott isn't at full throttle. And let's not forget the defense. Last year, the Cowboys' defense was arguably the worst in the NFL by some measures. Giving up too many big plays, struggling to get consistent pressure on the quarterback, and missing tackles are issues that need urgent fixing. Yes, the team has invested in a new defensive coordinator, Christian Parker, and brought in 5 or 6 new starters, but we've yet to see how that will translate on the field. Preseason is one thing, But the real test is in the regular season, especially when facing high-powered offenses and tough opponents week after week. Speaking of opponents, the schedule this year isn't exactly kind. The Cowboys will face a brutal early stretch, starting with a game in Brazil against the Ravens on September 27. Yes, in Brazil, folks. That's right, an international game that adds a layer of complexity and fatigue right at the start. After that, they'll face the Texans in Houston, then a quick turnaround with a Thursday night game against Tampa Bay, followed by back-to-back road trips to Green Bay and Philadelphia. That's a gauntlet of a schedule, and it's likely to test the team's resilience and depth right from the get-go. And this is where the real concerns come in. The team's bye isn't until Week 14, which means they'll have to grind through almost half the season without a break. Fatigue, injuries, and mental tolls could pile up, making it even harder to reach those high expectations. So even if the Cowboys come out of that early stretch relatively unscathed, maintaining consistency and avoiding setbacks will be crucial. Because, let's be honest, the NFL is a league where a small mistake can cost you a game or even a playoff spot. Now, I want to emphasize that despite all these challenges, I'm not here to say the Cowboys are doomed. Far from it. There's a lot of talent on this roster, especially with the offensive weapons around Dak Prescott, and the defense has the potential to turn things around with the new additions. But potential and reality often collide, and that's what makes this season so intriguing. Will the Cowboys finally break through that ceiling and become serious contenders? Or will the harsh realities of injuries, schedule difficulty, and internal struggles derail their hopes? That's what we're all eager to find out. And as we look ahead, it's also worth considering the broader context of the NFC East. The division has been unpredictable in recent years. The Eagles, for example, who won the division last year, are still a formidable opponent with a talented roster and a great coaching staff. The Giants are on the rise, and the Redskins, or Commanders as they're now known, are always lurking with surprises. So the Cowboys will need to bring their A-game every week just to stay competitive within their own division. That's the kind of pressure that can either motivate or crush a team depending on how they handle it. But here's something that's often overlooked: coaching stability. Unlike some other teams that are quick to pull the trigger on coaching changes, the Cowboys tend to give their coaches some leash. Yet that doesn't mean Schottenheimer is guaranteed job security if things don't improve. The NFL is a results-driven league, and the pressure to perform is relentless. If the results don't match the hype, it's entirely possible that we could see a coaching change mid-season. Not necessarily because Jerry Jones wants to be impulsive, but because the standards are high and the fan base's patience can wear thin quickly. Now, let's talk about some individual players. Dak Prescott is obviously the key. His health and performance will largely dictate how far the Cowboys go this year. Prescott has been a roller coaster, showing flashes of brilliance but also struggling with injuries and inconsistency. If he can stay healthy and the offense clicks like many hope, they will be a dangerous team. But if he goes down or struggles to find his rhythm, the entire season could unravel. The offensive line is another critical piece, protecting Prescott and opening lanes for the running game. The team has invested heavily there, but the chemistry and cohesion will need to develop quickly. On the defensive side, Micah Parsons remains a superstar. He's the engine that drives the defense, and his ability to disrupt offenses is unmatched when he's at his best. But even Parsons needs support, and that's where the new starters and the defensive scheme come into play. Christian Parker's approach is promising, focusing on aggressive schemes and turnovers, but it's still unproven at the NFL level. The secondary, which struggled mightily last season, will need to step up in a big way. If the defense can become league average or better, that will significantly boost their chances to win games. And then there's the special teams, a sometimes overlooked aspect but crucial in close games. The kicker, the punter, and coverage units, these can be the difference in tight matchups. Every detail matters in the NFL, and the Cowboys will need all facets of their game functioning flawlessly if they want to reach their Super Bowl goals. Now I want to circle back to the coaching situation because it's such a hot topic right now. The odds of Schottenheimer being the first coach fired might seem exaggerated, but they highlight how fragile the coaching position can be when results aren't immediate. Remember, the NFL is a league where patience is thin, and owners often make quick decisions when expectations aren't met. Jerry Jones, despite his reputation for loyalty, is not immune to the pressure to deliver a championship. And if the Cowboys stumble out of the gate or fail to address their issues quickly, the whispers of a change could grow louder. That's why every game matters so much this season. Every win, every loss, every mistake, these will shape the narrative. And for us fans, it's a roller coaster of emotions, hope, and sometimes frustration. But that's what makes being a Cowboys supporter so special. We've seen incredible highs and heartbreaking lows, and through it all, the passion remains unwavering. So what's next? Well, it's all about execution. Can Dak Prescott stay healthy and perform at a high level? Will the defense finally become a force? Can Schottenheimer's vision translate into wins on the field? And most importantly, will the team's chemistry and resilience carry them through the tough patches ahead? These are the questions that will define this season. And remember, folks, football is unpredictable. The NFL is a league where anything can happen. One game, one play, one injury can change everything in the blink of an eye. That's why we watch, we analyze, and we hope. Because deep down, we believe in the Dallas Cowboys, in their history, in their potential, and in their relentless pursuit of glory. And now, Dallas Cowboys fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Cowboys. Do you think this team has what it takes to finally break through and make a real Super Bowl run? Or are you worried about the hurdles and the pitfalls that could derail everything? Whatever your thoughts, I'm eager to read them. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, more insights, and all the latest news on the Dallas Cowboys. Stay tuned, stay passionate, and let's keep the faith alive because the season is just around the corner, and it promises to be one of the most exciting chapters in Cowboys history. Remember, no matter what happens, we're in this together. Cowboys Nation, forever and always.